Gentlemen, to close the conference, I'd like to introduce, well, I don't need to introduce this person, do I? He's been our leader for the past 3 years. He's done a fantastic job. He's taken this party into being second place in a national election. He's a great man. We'll miss him dearly as leader, but he'll still be on the scene. Trust me, it's Mr. Nigel Farage.
Good stuff. Excellent. These all yours? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for that very warm reception. Now that I've announced that I'm standing down as leader, I can tell you what I really think about all of you. For those that don't know, UKIP was founded on the 3rd of September 1993. It came out of something called the Anti-Federalist League and a variety of other very small Eurosceptic organisations. And within 6 weeks of the party being formed, a Conservative Member of Parliament for Eastleigh, one Stephen Milligan, died in what can only be described as extraordinary circumstances. Suffice to say, I'll call it the first ever case of vitamin C poisoning for those that know the story. And so here we were, a new party, 6 weeks old, and there was a Westminster by-election. And I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to stand. So I was UKIP's first ever candidate when I announced that I'd stand in the Eastleigh by-election all the way back in 1993. And I wondered at first whether I'd be up to it. I mean, I'd assumed that people who were members of Parliament, who tried to be members of Parliament, were all going to be very clever, very wise, and very fine people. And was I really up to it? Well, it didn't take me very long to work out that most of them aren't very clever and aren't very wise and are generally pretty damned hopeless. And a pal of mine lent me an open-top old Army Land Rover, and we rigged it up with a loudspeaker system. And I decided as the campaign progressed that the only way I was ever going to get a chance to harangue people in shopping high streets on a loudhailer was as a candidate for the UK Independence Party, and I was from that moment on absolutely hooked on fighting elections and electioneering, and I managed to score 952 votes in the Eastleigh by-election, and I beat Screaming Lord Such by 48 votes. How about that? I have to say that David Such, in fact, was the only of the other candidates that personally I would have voted for, because he had a tremendous sense of humour, and he was really very, very British, wasn't he? I mean, the very fact that he was standing under first-past-the-post elections against the giant parties with no hope at all, that was the fun and the appeal of what he did. I think for us to have come from that first election with less than 1,000 votes, with being nip and tuck with the monster raving loony party, to have come this year in the European elections across the entire United Kingdom, to have come second in those elections, it is something that is unprecedented in British politics. It is something you and I should be proud of. And I know that I've provided one or two shocks and surprises over the course of this weekend, and I tried to handle the management of that by getting out first, which I thought was the good news, and second, the news that perhaps some people wouldn't like, although perhaps others may rejoice at. But I genuinely meant what I said yesterday, that I feel I'm handing over this party at a time when it's never done better, at a time when it's never been more united, and at a time when it genuinely has become impossible for any one man to lead the parliamentary political party and to lead the party in this country. I am confident that I'm handing this party over to the next leader in as good and as rude a health as it has ever been, and that's a credit to all of you. So there are fresh battles ahead, and I have a feeling that the campaign in Buckingham has got off to a pretty good start. I think one or two of the press comments this morning were really very helpful. 2 comments in the Mail. I thought the Telegraph, I thought Simon Heffer went a bit over the top this morning when he described my candidacy against John Bercow as sublime. That was perhaps too much. Though it was counteracted by a pretty abusive piece in the Times by David Owen. So, you know, you win some and you lose some. I thought the poll on Conservative Home yesterday was fascinating, wasn't it? Where 65% of the respondees said they'd rather vote for me than vote for John Bercow. Now, I'm not saying it's in the bag or anything like it. We have an enormous amount of work to do in that constituency, as we have an enormous amount of work to do in the other constituencies. And as this campaign progresses in Buckingham and elsewhere, what we as a party have to do is choose our target seats and put our maximum human and financial resource into those seats. We need a Westminster voice. We've got to be there. UKIP must be there. I'm launching the campaign in Buckingham on the 26th of September. We want people to come and help us. We want people to go out and leaflet. It's my intention to leaflet the entire constituency on the 26th of September. It's my intention to launch with the local press on the 26th of September. And on the evening of the 26th of September, I will begin the massive and serious task that I committed myself to yesterday, and that is visiting the published licensed houses of the constituency. Now, this may take some time. Godfrey Bloom has volunteered to come and help me. So for me, the 26th of September is Big Bang. But there'll be other big target seats we have to fight. Paul Nuttall in Bootle has managed to get as high as 38% of the vote in local elections in Bootle. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that in the northwest, that has to be the target seat. That has to be where we put special effort, and that will emerge across the rest of the country. You know, I can't predict what's going to happen with the Irish referendum. I can't predict whether it'll be a yes. I can't predict whether it'll be a no. I can predict that when I do the TV debate with the Irish Foreign Minister on Monday, that he'll be pretty unpleasant and fairly abusive towards me, because the opinion polls are narrowing. The opinion polls are narrowing. The yes side are down from 54% to 46% of those certain to vote, and that's happened over the course of the last week. So we've got it all to play for. We want there to be a no vote. We want to stop this whole thing in its tracks. We know and we believe that this political state that is being created is being done so without consent, and not just without our consent, but without the consent of the other peoples of Europe. Never think Never allow anyone to tell you that this is just an old-fashioned British reaction. It's how the vast majority of the French people feel, the Dutch people feel, the German people feel, right across this continent. People want to govern themselves. People want to live under their own democratic systems. People want to trade and cooperate with their neighbours, but not be governed by a centralised bureaucracy. This is a great mission that we're on.